familiar sight these days. A heavy load taking every corner an inch at a time. Quite a worry for the driver, but this one's done it all before. This casting is on its way from Sheffield to Newport, Monmouthshire. For at the new Spencer works of Richard Thomas and Baldwin's, things are pretty advanced. It's late summer, 1961. From the air, it's now apparent that the summer has seen many changes at Spencer Works. Even from afar, there's a look of near finality about many of the structures. This is deceptive. A closer look would reveal much detailed work yet to be done. But from a height, the shape emerges. The plan is defined, and blueprints have become a three-dimensional reality. The site between the hills and the sea is so vast that an aerial view provides the only way to survey the project in its entirety. Signs of the completeness of the buildings are the splashes of bright color supplied by the final coat of paint, already covering some sections. Let's just sit back and fly right to the eastern end. Back on the road, the big casting is now free of corners for a while. Time is important. Each load to Newport travels within a controlled scheme. The right component at the right time, at the right place. A jigsaw puzzle of transportation and administration. The Gloucester City, just in at Newport docks from the USA. And from the ship, another massive weight bound for RTB from Pittsburgh. This is the only floating crane in the South Wales area capable of lifting 100 tons weight. But to get the casting to the site, a short trip by road. It's the devil's own job to lift from deck to low loader. Painful slowness and patient skill alone make sure that such a load arrives safely. Up at the works reservoir, the concrete is nearly completed. It won't be long now before the first gush of water is pumped in. But what about the outlets? Miles of pipes lead from the reservoir down to the main site. These pass over the main Western Region line from London to South Wales. It's now just a matter of welding and covering before the day when they'll be ready to take gallons of water a second down to the thirsty production area. Water isn't the only thing that's going to travel by pipe. There are miles and miles of pipes to carry all kinds of gases and liquids running throughout the site. The circulation system of a giant covering 4 square miles. Well, the Sheffield load is making good time now, making up for all those slow corners. And it won't be long before the iron ore starts to arrive at this tippler. The rails are already being laid and connected to the main line. The man at this control console will be in charge of the whole operation, including something called beetle behind rear wheels. Each Each truck will arrive and be turned over to empty the ore onto conveyor belts. The belts are already going into position, a matter of great precision. An enormous area is cleared for ore storage. Already at Newport Castle is the convoy from Sheffield. Newport is a changing place. The new works will make a big difference to the whole area in the years to come. Meanwhile, traffic in the streets has to pause from time to time to allow access to slow, heavy, low loaders. Now the people of Newport can begin to see the immensity of their new neighbour, for its solidity and weight are becoming more and more apparent to passers-by. This building will house the steel-making plant. Spencer Works will be the first works ever to rely entirely on the LD process of steel-making, in which a jet of pure oxygen is blown onto the surface of the hot metal in a converter. There'll be 20,000 tons of plant, equipment and material supported on those girders when the plant is working. There's a feeling of near completion about these days. It's certain that when the steel begins to flow, Newport will have an industrial centre of national importance on doorstep. There's capacity here for adding another 35% to the United Kingdom's 1960 output of sheet steel, and space to add very much more. But for the moment, walls are going up around the steel skeletons. Section by section, the cladding encloses vast interior areas, creating shelter within and a bright completeness without. All through the year, large structures have been hidden by an overcoat of scaffolding, but now this begins to peel away to reveal new shapes and textures in the completed buildings. Paint shines everywhere, and red undercoat gives a touch of gaiety to the look of the place. Whole structures begin to shine with a new brightness, soon to be shaded by wall and roof cladding. The road convoy has arrived, on time and all in one piece. Into the cavernous interiors, slowly and carefully. It's now up to someone to sign on the dotted line, received in good condition. From now on, the main developments at Spencer Works will take place inside, away from the sun and the rain. Installation will replace construction. Micrometer and caliper will replace bulldozer and excavator. Very soon, Spencer Works will be a permanent part of the daily life of Newport and miles around.